everybody. Today I'm very excited because I have Emma McAdam from Therapy in a Nutshell, and she is one of my favorite people, one of my favorite YouTube channels, and she's brilliant. And she will, oh my gosh, I've just been dying to interview her and find out more about her life. And she's here to give you a few tools to support you on your mental health healing. So, Emma, hello and welcome to Leaving Crazy Town.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on your show. This is fun. And I love you, Sarah. You're so wonderful. So
Oh
thank you.
my gosh. I've been on Emma's channel and she's been so delightful. And I literally refer so many people to your channel. So, and because
Thank
I
you.
love the tips and tools and you're so authentic. So, my first question, of course, is what made you start Therapy in a Nutshell? What was going on in your life at the time? What was the thing that got you going on this?
Yeah. So I was a therapist. I've been a therapist for a while, but I in 2014 had my first kid, and I decided to become a stay-at-home mom, and I'd been working in like residential treatment and wilderness therapy and all these and outpatient therapy, all these things. And there's two things going on at once. Let's see if I can do a better job sharing this
That's all
story.
right. You're doing
So,
great.
um, I had a kid and I was at home and I was going a little bit crazy because I didn't have enough to do with my very overactive mind and I needed some project, right? I needed something to work on. And I was
Yes.
doing a little bit of outpatient therapy, and therapy is freaking expensive. It's hard to access. There's stigma, there's all these barriers. It takes time. It's a hard thing to do.
Yes.
So I wanted to make therapy more accessible, and I just saw so many people who
Mm.
needed like mental health resources. And I knew,
Yes.
like, having worked in therapy, I knew like there's these skills that if people knew about them, it would make their life better.
Yes.
So like, and they just didn't know about it. Like they literally, like I ran a little workshop one day, and I asked, how many of you guys have heard of like deep breathing, like diaphragmatic breathing? And like there were a few people who had literally never heard. They're like, oh, if you
Yeah.
breathe slower, your body
Mm.
feels calmer. And that's like just a simple example, but there's so many skills that can help people,
Right.
and
Right.
they didn't know about them. So two problems at once: my brain was way overactive, I wasn't working full time anymore, and a lot of people needed help and access to
Yes.
therapy. And like in outpatient therapy also, therapy is really expensive, $150 an hour, like probably minimum. And
Yes.
so I wanted to make the very best use of people's time and money. So I was like, I wish I had these education parts a little bit that I could refer people to. Like, I wish I had a video I could send someone to educate them on like the fight, flight, freeze response, or how to practice
Yes.
soothing their body, so that we can use the therapy hour for like, let's get into it. Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what my thought was, like, how do we make this more accessible? So I started making videos that I just basically just wanted my clients to watch.
Right.
Yeah, like, and so for 3 years, I just made videos and was like really happy if they got like 100 views. I was like, wow, I can't believe 100 people have watched this
Yeah.
video.
Yes.
Yeah. So for 3 years, I was just making them just because I wanted my clients to be able to have access to them, and because I enjoyed it, really enjoyed it.
Yes. And
So
did it really launch during COVID or
yeah,
when did it kind of go to this different level? Because you have
yeah.
like what, 2 million subscribers or something? Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
yeah.
so for 3 years, I'm just making videos for fun. And by the end of 2019, I had my third kid.
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, right.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you blow my mind, by the way. Okay, go
I
ahead.
no longer had like nap time to like make my content. And I was making, like, I think I was finally getting paid by YouTube, but I was making like $17 to $19 a month. So I was like really rolling in it at that point. And we no longer had, I couldn't do it anymore in like the mornings and nap times, because I
Right.
had three
Yeah.
kids, they were always awake. um so so the in January of 2020, I was like, I think I need to quit making YouTube videos. Like, I just can't make it
Got it.
happen with my family. My husband's working full time. I'm like full-time homemaker. And I prayed about it, and I just felt so strongly that I needed to keep going for another month. So I was like, all right, I'll go a couple months. February, first week of February 2020, maybe middle of February 2020. No, I remember it was Valentine's Day. I was like,
Oh
we
my
hit a
gosh.
million views. I had two videos go viral. COVID's happening, right?
COVID's happening,
February
right? Everybody's
2020. COVID's happening. I also, in the fall of 2019, learned how SEO works. That's search engine optimization. It's how to name your videos and tag your videos in a way
got
that
it.
like gets found. So
Yes.
I redid all my video. I renamed all my videos, like like thumbnailed my videos. And March of 2020, I had two videos go viral, and those videos are still some of my best performing videos.
So awesome.
Yeah,
Though, one of my questions was going to be about your relationship to God because we're very similar in that way.
yeah,
That was coming at the end, but I think those moments are so important when you're about to give up. Oh my
yeah.
God, I start crying. And then you say, "Can you just guide me in the right direction? Should I do this? Should I not do this?" And then you get kind of a little sign. I think that's so beautiful. So that's congratulations, though. I mean, talk about
Thanks.
timing. That's so beautiful. Um,
Yeah,
so the next question was going to be around what do you see? Because you have so many, you interact with so many people and you had so many people, rating comments. What do you see as I don't know if there's one or two or three, what are the most common struggles with
mm,
people that contact you?
yeah.
Are there
That's a
any themes or, yeah,
yeah. I think there's a few things. I see people who are just drowning, like they're just
got it.
overwhelmed. And I think the responses I get are like, wow, this like learning this little skill actually helped. Thank you.
Yes.
Like that's what I see is like people are just like, I have no idea what to do.
Yes.
And when they watch a couple of videos, they're like, oh, okay, I feel like there's hope. Like I feel like there's
Yes.
something actionable I can do today.
Yes.
Is gonna make my life better. But like the problem would be, yeah, drowning in anxiety,
Yeah.
drowning in overwhelm. Their body is just loaded with stress,
Yes.
and maybe like even like what's the point, like why
Right.
even bother keep living,
Right.
because it just life is so hard and so stressful
Everything's
all
so
the
hard.
time. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, my gosh, especially during that time, I can't even imagine. Everybody was probably in an extreme state also.
oh
But
yeah.
yes, the overwhelm, so key. And I was looking, doing a little research on you. And I think even though I have literally never studied acceptance and commitment therapy, I swear to God, we have very similar approaches.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
how
Yeah.
did what got you going on that particular
Mhm.
avenue and treatment plan, treatment?
Yeah. Yeah, so in grad school, I was introduced to cognitive behavioral therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy. I think if you took a big look at like psychology in general, we'll do like the big picture view of psychology. It's like, well, no one even thought about psychology much until 1800s. Freud comes along and he's like, oh, it's you've got all these underlying things and dreams, and I
Right,
don't even know
right,
psychoanalysis, but like Freud comes along and he's
right.
like,
Defense
actually,
mechanisms.
yeah,
Yeah.
like all of this psychoanalysis
All in
stuff
line.
is going
Yes.
on that's exhibiting in the
Yes.
body. It's showing up in your
Yes.
body and
Yes.
in your actions. Well, that was like a step forward. And then in the 50s comes along behaviorism, which is like if you reward certain behaviors, you
Yes.
get different outcomes. If you punish certain behaviors, you get different outcomes. Then along comes
Yes.
cognitive behavioral therapy, which is like if you
Yes.
change how you think, you change how you feel. And cognitive
Yes.
behavioral therapy is like kind of this very like, oh, let's change measurable things
Yes.
and see what we get.
Yes.
Acceptance and commitment therapy, and with cognitive behavioral therapy, you'll notice a lot of things like thought stopping and
Yes.
debating your thoughts. You'll
Yes.
analyze your thoughts, you'll look at your thoughts, and you'll try and change them. And there's some real benefits to it. Like CBT has really powerful tools.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I loved about acceptance and commitment therapy is you drop the struggle.
Yes.
So you stop trying to make your feelings go away.
Yes.
You stop trying to make your thoughts be different, and you just create a little more space and freedom
Space.
around them. Yeah.
Yes.
So you create some space around your thoughts and feelings, and that frees you from the struggle against them to take a step back and be like, what do I actually want my life to be like? And it's such a
Yes.
values focus. And I think when people hear the word values, they think of like Christian values or something like that. What
Yes.
acceptance and commitment therapy really means is your values are what you choose is valuable to make a rich and meaningful life. So that
Yes.
might be music, that might be
Yes.
service, that might
Yes.
be hiking, that might
Yes.
be like just loving, that might be laughing, whatever it
Yes.
is. And so the whole point of acceptance and commitment therapy is like we create enough space around our thoughts and feelings, we choose a rich and meaningful life,
Yes.
and that's going to be best. So that really resonated with me. That's why I love
Oh
acceptance.
gosh, yes. Yeah, I mean it's so I mean like I say, what we resist persists, but so
Mm,
many people it's like the overthinking. You can get
yeah,
so into the overthinking and get no freedom. And
yeah.
sometimes just embracing it and giving it
Mhm.
space, a lot of stuff will pass.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and
the whole idea of an action step too. Do you know what
mhm,
I mean? Like so important. I mean,
yeah.
I said that thing and I was talking about the 5-second rule with Mel Robbins.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and she has this thing where if you want to do something towards a goal, but you immediately start to feel the resistance, just count to 5 and do it. Just get out of
yeah,
bed before your mind starts putting in the doubt, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
really
Oh,
good.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you don't have to answer this, but is there anything that happened in your own life that got you interested in mental health or helping others or being a psychologist, therapist? Was there anything that you struggled with that you thought, oh, and resolved and then thought, I want to share this with people? Is there anything like that? Or someone you
Yeah.
loved? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to say, like, my true passion for doing therapy came from working in wilderness therapy. So when I
Got
was
it.
20, I started working for this wilderness therapy program. We'd go out and hike in the desert with basic survival gear with like a group of 8 to 10 teenagers.
Yes.
And it was just incredible. It was life-changing for me because I grew, and I can back up to like what I was struggling with. But
Yes.
when I saw like human potential and our ability to change, and how this this experience of like, okay, we're stripped down to the essentials. We have our basic supplies, we have
Yep.
ourselves, we have the people in our group, and that's it. Like we have relationships in ourselves, and we have time to sit and think, and like
Yes.
massive growth can come from that. That
Yes.
was incredible. And I think, you know, I think like these treatment programs have gotten a pretty bad rap lately, and in some cases with good reason.
Right.
Like with
Right.
Paris Hilton and her documentary. And I mean, I'm
Right.
in Utah. We're like the treatment center capital of the world. Like we have so many treatment centers here. Um,
Yeah. I did not know that.
yeah, so the National Association of Therapeutic Schools and Programs, NatSap, they have
Got
an
it.
East Coast division, a West Coast division, and a Utah division because there's literally so many programs here.
Wow.
Yeah, and Paris Hilton
That
was,
is
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, Paris Hilton was at Provo Canyon School, which is like 10 minutes from where I live, and
Oh,
she was abused like terribly there. And
right.
I was out digging in a bottle dump for old bottles with this guy. Yeah,
I
I'm
love it.
weird. Okay, we'll go there.
You're
But
not at all. You're my kind of people. Let's just say. Go ahead.
with this guy who's a psychologist, and he had worked at Provo Canyon School, and we were talking about how all these residential treatment programs are going under, and he's like, well, yeah, I was at Provo Canyon 20 years ago, and I absolutely believe like that kind of abuse was happening. Like
Wow. Yeah. Yes.
so there
You're
were these
right.
programs that were bad, but I reached out to some of the kids who were in this wilderness program. I mean, at this point, it's been decades. um
Yes.
has it been decades? 2025. I was there for 2005 to 2008. I reached out to some of these kids who are now adults. And I said, hey, one of them posted like that breaking code silence thing on
Got it.
Facebook about how he'd been mistreated at a boarding school.
Got
And I
it.
reached out to him. I said, hey, what was your experience with wilderness? Because I worked in programs that were relationship based. They weren't
Right.
behavioral. We weren't
Right.
punitive.
Right.
We weren't
Right.
mean. We weren't boot
Yes.
camps.
Yes.
We our only source of power was our influence through our relationship. We tried to
Oh,
connect with these kids and invite them to change. And that was all we
yes.
did. So I reached
Yes.
out to him, and he said, yeah, he said his boarding school experience was pretty traumatic, but he said
Yes.
wilderness was a gift. It was the best thing
Yes.
that ever happened in his life. It was the most, like, one of the most powerful experiences he's ever had, and it made his life better for the rest of his life.
Right. Oh,
And so yeah, so like experiencing that with other people while I was also going through some
yes.
personal change and growth,
Yeah.
um, was the reason why I wanted to become a therapist, because it was just
Right.
so cool to see
It's
like
so cool. And you saw
transformation.
Yeah, and you saw change.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw change, and there's a program here. My brother is a therapist, got involved in. It's called Project Adventure.
Hmm.
And they go into, big companies and set up ropes courses and do all this
Oh yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have this fantasy that I'd always wanted to do it. I haven't done it yet, but I'm a very outdoors person also. So the
Yeah.
idea of combining the two to me is so brilliant. But you saw change and possibility. And I think, one of my buttons sometimes when I've been a therapist in the past was struggling with people who really saw themselves as victims. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying people aren't victims. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
victimized. We've all been victims to some sense.
Yeah.
But how to shift someone or help someone shift from being in that identity state and giving space to that experience, but
Hmm.
not getting stuck in that identity, in that paradigm for the rest of their lives. And that's been, just for me and with my own countertransference, that kind of identity as a patient is one that I struggle with. And
Yeah.
so
Me too.
how do you deal with that? I mean, because and I always think, well, maybe some people just don't want to get help, but I'm sure there's something else there. I think they want to be heard and validated, but
Yeah.
then what makes the shift? What do you see makes the shift at
Mm.
all? Is it willingness?
I,
I mean,
I have I have
I don't know.
two thoughts on this. I have
Okay.
two thoughts on it. I mean, there's a lot to it, and I'm sure you have
I
great
know.
ideas too.
I know. I know.
Um, I think so. The quote at the bottom of my email is um by Kurt Hahn. I better read it so I don't
Please,
misquote it.
please read
Let
it.
me pull this out. Um, oh, it's my personal email. So let me just grab this really quick.
Perfect.
Um, oh, you'll have to cut
It's
this.
okay. It's all right.
Okay, this is by
Okay.
Kurt Hahn.
Go.
Kurt,
All
Kurt
right.
Hahn was an outdoor educator, and he said,
Got it.
there is more in us than we know. If we
Yeah.
can be made to see it, perhaps for the rest of our lives, we will refuse to settle for less. And for
Yeah.
me, it's like we have to have experiences where we're pushed to take that next step, that little leap
Yes.
of faith. And when
Yes.
these experiences push us and we rise to that occasion, then we see ourselves differently.
Yes. Yeah.
So like I think one, it's like being supported in an environment where you're challenged to take those
Yes.
leaps of faith.
Yes.
But I think the other thing is to just really acknowledge for people like that victim mindset serves a function. This is how I work. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
how's that working for you? Like
Yes.
I had my cousin and his wife are separated right now, and he was at my house the other day and he was really depressed and discouraged, and I kind of reached out to him and I'm like,
Yes.
like hey, like how you doing, like what's
Yes.
going on? I know, heard you guys are separated, what's going on? He's like, yeah, well, I'm just a narcissist. I check 8 out of 8 boxes. And I'm like, is that label helping you?
Yeah.
Like if it's helpful, it's helpful, and if it's not helpful, it's not helpful. Like I think that's very convenient to use
Yes.
labels. Let's look at how that label is working for you. Yeah, if you're a narcissist, that means
Yes.
you don't have to change because it's impossible to change, as evidenced by certain YouTube channels. I'm not a huge believer in personality. Like I'm not a believer in permanent disorders. I just don't believe it.
That was one of my other questions because you and I are so much on the same page with this. I was going to say, do you think people are over, and we've talked about the trauma thing. Like, I mean, I was trained in the 90s
Yeah.
and all this stuff was coming out, and Bessel van der Kolk and Peter Levine and Gabor Mate and all that stuff. And yet now to me, and again, on one hand, great, people are acknowledging their trauma, kind of opening their eyes, getting out of denial, et cetera, et cetera. But
Yeah.
when I see Gabor Mate, who's 82 right now, talking about his trauma as a baby, I just can't anymore. I'm just like, come on, is that helpful to people? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like acknowledging and then the action. And I mean, again, I think it just seems like everybody's wants to hold on to some identity of like, I'm a trauma survivor or I'm bipolar. When I
Yeah.
was in training at McLean, everybody was being it was the diagnosis of the decade, I
That's
called it.
right.
Because
The
literally
90s,
everyone.
early 2000s, everyone was,
Yes.
yeah. Hmm.
Exactly. And now I hate to say it's ADD, like everybody's
Yeah.
ADD. And so I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, not again, I don't want to minimize like true diagnosis. But when my
Yeah.
son was 3, as an aside, I picked him up at daycare one day. He was maybe 4, and the woman said to me, she wanted to talk to me, and she said, "Have you ever thought of getting your son assessed for ADD?" Now he's 4. And I
Right.
said, "No." And she said, "Well, he runs around a lot." And I said, "That's what 4-year-old boys do." I mean, so
Yes.
again, not minimizing, but the over pathologizing. And you've done videos on this I've watched, which are great.
I have, and they usually don't perform that well. Like if I made a video telling, like, being like, "Hey, here's 5 signs that you're broken permanently," that video would perform great. I refuse to make that video, but I just don't make diagnosis videos
I
because there's
know.
so many people out there in social media say, "Hey, here's 5 signs you have ADHD. Do you crave salt?" And it's like, I'm
Oh,
sorry, that is
oh,
not ADHD. Like I could reference like
oh my
very
God, I could go
famous.
wild.
Yes.
I know.
But okay, so here's how I
All right, go
think
ahead.
about here's how I think about diagnoses and labels.
Yes.
Are they helpful? Are they
Right.
resourcing? That's it. That's
Right.
the only question.
That's it.
Does this label give you more resources or less resources?
Period at the end.
So like my daughter, technically she meets the I don't my daughter meets the criteria for ADHD inattentive type.
Okay.
Cool. What does that mean? Does that
Yes.
mean I can now advocate that her school gives her breaks to go like jump up and down and flap for a minute? Yes. Okay, great. This label is helpful here. But does this mean I'm going to say, well, now she can't accomplish this, or I don't have to set
Oh,
boundaries, or this limits my ability to like do whatever? And it's like anytime a label is like de-resourcing, then it's
thank
not
you.
helpful.
Right.
So like narcissism, right? Great. If my cousin takes that label and is like, cool, if I'm a narcissist, then that's going to help me build up all these skills and resources,
Yes.
self checks and
Yes.
accountability and do education and
Yes.
practice empathy. That label's
Yes.
helpful. And
Yes.
as soon as that label's like, well, I have narcissism, so I am a narcissist. And he didn't say I have narcissism. I
You said
am
I
a
am
narcissist.
an,
And therefore, nothing's going to change. It's like,
oh God. See,
that's
that
what,
makes me so sad. Right.
me too. Me too.
Right.
And I got on the
Right.
phone with him and I was like, I'm sorry, this is self-justifying.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'm not gonna say you haven't mistreated your wife. I'm good friends.
Yes.
I'm good friends with his wife. Like probably
Yeah.
better friends with her than him. But I'm like, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you haven't done something wrong. It's like, what are you
Right.
gonna do about it?
Yes.
It sounds rude, but I think the same way about depression. And I think
Oh,
the same way about a lot of other experiences that we might label ourselves as. And I'm
yes.
it's like, do you have depression? Is that who you are?
Yes.
Or is that something you're experiencing? It's still legitimate.
Yes.
You're experiencing this. Using the label depression might help you access resources and education and research and medication that's tailored toward
Yes.
that disorder.
Yes.
But if it's like, well, I have depression, so I can't, dot, dot, dot,
Right.
nah.
I'm telling you, we could literally talk for 2 hours about this topic because
Yeah.
I have a chapter in my book on depression and all the different pieces and examples from like the psych hospital when people would get diagnosed. A woman who'd been in a battered marriage for 20 years and suddenly she comes in and she's getting electric shock therapy and a variety of other treatments when really, you know,
The
uh,
environment was
the,
toxic.
the
She was,
environment was toxic, and I
yeah.
mean, I think at this point she literally had brain damage. But I mean, it was just the over. Anyways, so we could do that, but I'm so with you. And depression is another one. And I remember seeing clients myself, and it's like they wanted the third med or the fourth med or the fifth med because the other three. And I would say, let's just look at the facts. So the
Yeah.
first three haven't worked. And if you now add one more, do you think that's going to be helpful? The same thing. Maybe we should try something different. But the problem is, you talk about the locus of control. If it's something out there that I can use something outside, that I don't have to take responsibility for my pain, my wounds, my shame, my anger, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, and again, it's legitimate and like let's honor it by shifting it. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And acceptance and commitment therapy has some interesting tools for this, but they're also like, in general, it's like, how can we notice that as words and stories? And
Yes.
then we continually just ask, what's helpful toward my values? Like, that's the question just over and over again. Does labeling yourself as depressed help you love and accept yourself in a way that helps you achieve your life purpose? If it does, great, let's go.
Yes. So great.
And if not, like, let's explore like what else might be helpful.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
And same
so,
with trauma. Trauma's like so hot right now, but it's
so,
like
yes, I know.
it's legitimate too.
It's
And it should,
absolutely.
yeah, and it shouldn't be constraining. It should be empowering when we think about it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I remember when my son was in high school, he's 25 now. He said a lot of girls would have these Instagram accounts kind of talking about their trauma. And he said, on one hand, he felt like, wow, people are addressing mental health issues now, which is great. But then on the other hand, he was feeling like that's how some of them were getting a lot of attention. So it was like this bizarre, I don't know, experience. Anyways, I know
Yes.
you're going to run out of time. We're going to run out of
Okay.
time. So I just want to say two things. What do you think are two tips, just simple tips that you could suggest to people that you find are across the board helpful to anyone with anxiety or depression? Anything come to mind? I mean, I know we're simplifying it,
Yeah, for sure.
just something that people might take away.
Hmm.
I know.
Two tips. This is hard to narrow it
But you have
down.
so many
Yeah.
tips. I know.
I think I know there's so many options here. I'm gonna go with um let's take a nervous system approach for one and a cognitive
Yes.
approach for the other.
Perfect.
So nervous system approach, I would say our mind and body are in a feedback loop. So when we perceive danger, when we think someone's out to get us or someone's judging us, we're going to have a
Yes.
fight, flight, freeze response. But
Yes.
also, and that fight, flight, freeze response will show up in our body, right? We'll tense
Yes.
up, we'll feel
Yes.
our heart race. But also, when our body is tense or inflamed, we've got issues, eating too much sugar, maybe. When our body's inflamed and unhappy and tense, that sends a message to our brain to be stressed
Yes.
out.
Yes.
So we can soothe our brain by regulating our body. So the simplest way to do this is to slow down and to soften.
Yes.
So if you're eating really fast, eat a little slower
Yes.
and soften your shoulders.
Yes.
If you're walking really fast, take a
Yes.
slow breath and walk a little slower. And that'll send a
Beautiful.
message. Like if you have anxiety, they'll send a message to your brain like, my body's calm. I must be safe. It's going to
Yeah.
be okay.
Yes.
So
Brilliant.
slow and
Brilliant.
soften. That's the nervous
Slow and
system.
soften.
Nervous system approach. It
Especially in
treats.
our culture. It's,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. And I think like setting a little app on your phone like Mindfulness Bell or Lotus Bud, those are free.
Yes.
That just chime during the day and trigger
And
you to like breathe and soften.
yes.
That'll
Brilliant.
reset your nervous system or retrain your nervous system to be more parasympathetically dominant.
Yes. Very good. All
Yeah.
right. Brilliant.
Uh, the other thing I would say that I just think people don't take advantage of enough is writing. Just write it down.
Yes.
Like
Right.
I have a 30-part emotion processing course, and literally it's like just write it down.
Yes. I
No, there's a
have
lot
those.
more to it, but like yeah.
No, but I have those workbooks. By the way, to anybody who needs to do some writing, she has wonderful workbooks on anxiety, on trauma, depression, all these things that are really helpful. All right.
Oh, thanks.
Writing,
Yeah.
and I saw that video with the woman who talked about complex PTSD, talking about writing.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Anna
Yeah,
Runkle.
she talks a lot
Yeah.
about it. So that was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so
it's
like and
super
it's
helpful.
yeah, like there's some different ways to do this, but it's like, oh, if I'm having a personal, not a panic attack, but like heightened anxiety, I'm really stressed
Yeah.
out, a lot's going on. I'll go
Yes.
for a walk, I'll open up the notes in my iPhone, and I'll do voice to text to my iPhone. If I
Yes.
have, and that just helps me like, okay, here's what's going on, and here's what's going on, and here's what's going on. And
Yes.
I put it down, and then I can see it, and it's like,
Yes.
oh, okay. Then you might ask, what's one actionable step?
Yes.
Like that's how I do a
Brilliant.
brain dump. It's better if you can sit down and do it on paper and just dump your thoughts
Yes.
down on paper. Here's what's going on.
Yes.
I mean, there's ways to optimize this, right? Like you could be like, make sure to use an emotion word. I am feeling emotion
Right.
word, right?
Right.
Here's some of the things that led to that. There's other
Right.
things you can do to make it like really powerful. Like even if you're working through trauma, we can tell a contamination story. This is the thing that broke me and ruined me, or we can
Got
tell
it.
our transformation redemption story. This is the way I'm working to overcome, or I am overcoming what's happened to me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
like so there's so many ways to use writing. But it's like, if
Yes.
you just start when you could start a daily practice, or you can do it just as an emergency valve. But writing, I think, is one of the
So
most
good.
powerful tools. Slows your brain down,
Absolutely.
helps you process.
So good. All right. I know we're going to run out of time. I'm going to stop the recording. I have like 3 more questions, but I'm not going to ask them. I'm saving them for the next interview. You are
Okay.
so delightful and brilliant, and I love you. And I'm going to stop this. And thank you so much for being here. And you are the best. And I'm going to
Oh,
stop.
Sarah, you're so nice. Thank you. Thanks for having me.